Richard Sherman elevated himself to become one of the best cornerbacks in the game during his time with the Seattle Seahawks. He made 4 Pro Bowls and was named an All-Pro 4 times. He backed a dominant Legion of Boom defense that went on to win Super Bowl 48, with Sherman making a career-defining play along the way. Sherman then went down with a ruptured Achilles that could have been the end of his career, but he bet on himself, taking a deal based on incentives with the San Francisco 49ers. Now, in his second season with the 49ers, Sherman made the Pro Bowl and was named an All-Pro, while leading a San Francisco team that is the first seed in the NFC and went 13-3 in the regular season. He has been a stud through and through since entering the league, but back in the 2011 NFL Draft, he wasn't taken until the 154th pick in the 5th round. This is, who were the 24 cornerbacks drafted before Richard Sherman? If you plan on going to any events coming up, make sure you use SeatGeek to purchase your tickets. SeatGeek makes ticket buying easy by giving you a 1 to 10 score and even gives you a view of your seat.
You can use our code JDP at checkout to get $20 off your first purchase. Again, make sure to use SeatGeek when buying tickets and use code JDP at checkout for $20 off your first purchase. Let's get right back to the video.
Before we talk about those taken before Sherman at the draft, let's take a look at his rise to the top of the league. Richard Sherman played college football at Stanford, but before, he played wide receiver and defensive back in high school, and also excelled at track and field. He was a 3-star wide receiver recruit before he decided to commit to UCLA, but later flipped to Stanford. Sherman played wide receiver for his first 2 years at Stanford, recording over 1,000 yards over the span. Then, 4 games into his 3rd season with the Cardinals, he suffered a season-ending knee injury. He was granted a redshirt year. Sherman requested to make a switch over to cornerback after his injury, a request that was granted by the team. He went on to have a successful final 2 seasons of his collegiate career, making over 100 tackles in the span. He wasn't a highly sought-after prospect coming out of Stanford. He wasn't originally selected to play in the 2011 Senior Bowl, but was later named a replacement after an injury. He deflected 2 passes in the game and was expected to see a jump in his draft stock. He participated in all drills at both the NFL Combine and Stanford's Pro Day. Sherman was still a for sure day 3 cornerback and wasn't believed to have the tools to become a starter in the league. His scouting report stated, Sherman is a size prospect with some good intangibles that will help him mold into a contributing backup corner for a press-heavy team. However, he does not possess the natural coverage instincts, fluidity, or burst to be considered a future starter. Sherman watched the draft from home with family and eventually was taken with the 154th pick in the 5th round of the 2011 NFL Draft by the Seattle Seahawks. He was reportedly livid watching the draft, seeing players he believed were inferior to him being drafted over him. Luckily, he wouldn't have to wait long to prove every team wrong. Sherman started his rookie season as the 4th cornerback on the Seahawks depth chart, but quickly got to start after injuries forced him into the position. He has started in every game he's played in since and didn't miss a single game over his first 6 seasons in the league. He was named a first-team All-Pro in his 2nd season, but was still unknown to a degree. It was in 2013 when the legend of Richard Sherman lifted off.
You suck. You wanted this noise. You wanted this noise. You wanted this noise.
Sherman was a force for the Seahawks in 2013, leading the Legion of Boom, the nickname giving to this stout Seattle defense that allowed the fewest passing yards in the league and had the best defense. Sherman was named to his first Pro Bowl and was a first-team All-Pro again, but that's not what the season is remembered for. Sherman and the Seahawks went on to thunder past the Broncos 43-8 in Super Bowl 48, the 4th biggest blowout in Super Bowl history, but Sherman didn't become a household name in the Super Bowl. It was 2 weeks earlier in the NFC Championship against the 49ers. The top-seeded Seahawks finished the season 13-3, leading to a divisional round game against the 6th-seed Saints. Seattle took care of business, carrying a 16-0 lead into the final quarter. The game resulted in a 23-15 victory after a late Saints score, setting up an NFC Championship showdown against the 5-seed 49ers. San Francisco was 12-4, tied for the 2nd best record in the NFC, but were a wild card team team due to being in the same division as Seattle. The two split matchups during the regular season. The 49ers looked to have the upper hand early in the battle, taking a 10-3 lead into the half. Both scored a touchdown, but the Seahawks added an extra field goal to trail 17-13 going into the fourth quarter. But everything was about to change for Seattle. Russell Wilson found Jermaine Kearse for a 35-yard score early in the period to take a 20-17 lead. From there, the dominant Seahawks defense had to face Colin Kaepernick and the 49ers offense. The first San Francisco drive ended prematurely when Cliff Averill sacked and stripped Kaepernick for a turnover. The 49ers did get the ball back after forcing a turnover of their own, but on the second play with the ball, the defense stepped up again. Kaepernick was picked off by Cam Chancellor, leading to a Seattle field goal to extend the lead to 23-17. The Niners then got the ball back with 3 minutes and 32 seconds remaining and their season on the line. The 49ers drove down the field, converting on a clutch 4th and 3rd down to get into Seahawks territory. With 30 seconds left, the 49ers had a first down on the Seattle 18. Kaepernick dropped back, looking for Michael Crabtree in the end zone. With the game on the line, Sherman tipped the pass, and it was picked off by Chancellor. Sherman then carried out one of the best rants in league history, and the legend of Richard Sherman came to life.
Well, I'm the best corner in the game. When you try me with a sorry receiver like Crabtree, that's the result you're gonna get.
The Seattle defense turned over Kaepernick 3 times in the fourth quarter alone, en route to securing a Super Bowl appearance. The Seahawks went on to force 4 turnovers the following week against the Broncos in their Super Bowl victory. Over each of the next 3 seasons, Sherman went on to make the Pro Bowl, be named a first-team All-Pro, and play in every game. Then, in 2017, Sherman suffered a setback that was thought to maybe end his career. In the midst of another good season, he suffered a ruptured Achilles in a Week 10 game, an injury that is one of the hardest to recover from in sports. Sherman was released in the offseason by Seattle. Everybody wrote off Sherman, but he didn't. He signed a 3-year deal with the San Francisco 49ers, a deal that was loaded with incentives based on his play. He came back from injury and played like the Sherman of old, playing in 14 games for San Francisco. Now, this season in 2019, Sherman had one of his best seasons of his career, 2 years after suffering a ruptured Achilles. He made his first Pro Bowl since 2016 and was named an All-Pro. He has played a vital role for a 49ers team that is the top seed in the NFC after a 13-3 season. Sherman has had an impressive career, and it is far from over. Like I said, there were 24 cornerbacks taken off the board before him. Of course, of those 24, only one is better than Sherman. And that takes us to the first cornerback taken off the board in the 2011 NFL Draft. With the 5th overall pick, the Arizona Cardinals selected Patrick Peterson from LSU. Peterson walked into the NFL Draft as a top prospect, coming off an impressive junior season that he won the Chuck Bednarik Award, given to the best defensive player in college football. He was easily a top pick in the draft, with his scouting report saying Peterson is a freakishly talented football player and might very well be the first cornerback in the draft's history to be taken number 1 overall. The same report said Peterson is built like a safety, has the speed of a corner, and is an elite playmaker. The pick was an easy one for the Cardinals after Peterson fell down to the 5th pick. Peterson has been a top performer in the league since his arrival and has been named to the Pro Bowl every single season until 2019, the first time he'd ever miss a game in his career, playing in just 10 after being suspended for violating the NFL performance-enhancing drugs policy. Along with his 8 Pro Bowl nominations, he has been named a first-team All-Pro 3 times. He has 25 interceptions and over 400 tackles since entering the league. Following Peterson, there isn't a single other Pro Bowl corner in the draft, excluding Sherman, of course. It's all downhill from here. The New York Giants took Prince Amukamara from Nebraska with the 19th pick. Amukamara entered the draft after a successful senior season where he was named Big 12 Defensive Player of the Year. His scouting report says Amukamara has the size, speed, and awareness to start from day 1 and turn into one of the league's finer players at the cornerback position. He spent 5 years with the Giants, spending most of the time as the team's starting quarterback. He was part of a Giants team that defeated the Patriots in Super Bowl 46. He never turned into an elite playmaker in New York and became a free agent prior to the 2016 season. In the offseason, he signed a one-year deal with the Jaguars. He served as the team's starting nickelback and hit the market once again the year after. Amukamara bet on himself once again, signing a one-year deal with the Bears for 2017. He played well, and it resulted in a 3-year extension that will keep him in Chicago until the end of the 2020 season. He has been a solid starter since entering the league and has accumulated 10 interceptions and over 400 tackles in his career. 27th overall, the Baltimore Ravens drafted Jimmy Smith from Colorado. Smith was ranked as a top cornerback in the class coming out of college, but was reportedly taken off of many draft boards due to his history of arrests, failed drug tests, and maturity issues. Smith's scouting report said he'll likely serve as a reserve early in his career, but has the skill set to eventually become a starter. Smith served as a backup in his first 2 seasons with Baltimore before the departure of the starters gave him the aforementioned role. Since he has had the role and performed as a solid starter for the Ravens, he has missed a lot of games since entering the league, but when healthy can perform at a starting level. He has 14 interceptions and over 300 tackles in his career. Virginia's Rossai Dowling was taken with the 33rd pick in the 2nd round by the New England Patriots. Dowling came into the league after a successful career at Virginia, but was supposed to go even higher in the draft. According to his scouting report, Dowling entered the 2010 season as one of the nation's top cornerbacks, but after playing in only 5 games due to injury, his draft stock may have taken a hit. Unfortunately for Dowling, he never panned out in the league. He spent just 2 seasons in New England, landing on injured reserve both years. He then bounced around practice squads, including the Jets, Raiders, and Panthers. He currently serves as the cornerback coach at William & Mary. He played in just 12 games in his pro career. Aaron Williams from Texas was chosen with the 34th pick by the Buffalo Bills. Williams declared for the draft after a good 3 years at Texas. Heading into the draft, his scouting report said, Williams is a confident corner that should be able to contribute immediately as a nickelback. The Bills took a chance on Williams and got an up and down first 2 seasons. But then, Williams made a position move over to safety. He put together 2 good seasons in a row and even got a contract extension in the mix. But then, his career changed forever. In a Week 2 game in 2015, Williams attempted a tackle on Julian Edelman that led to him being injured. He was completely motionless on the field and was taken off in an ambulance. He suffered a neck injury, but was able to return the following season. This time, in Week 7, he suffered another serious neck injury after a hit on Jarvis Landry. He was put on injured reserve and then released the following season. He announced his retirement in 2018 after teams not signing him after workouts due to his neck concerns. A career that turned good, derailed by injuries. He had over 200 tackles in his time in the league. With the 50th overall pick, the San Diego Chargers selected Marcus Gilchrist from Clemson. Coming out of Clemson, Gilchrist's scouting report said, Gilchrist is an experienced, durable defensive back with good intangibles who could potentially become a starter at corner in a zone-based scheme or make a move to free safety. The prediction of a move to safety was correct. After serving as a backup during his rookie season, he made a switch to safety after an injury to starter Eric Weddle. He spent the next 2 seasons in San Diego, starting in every game. He signed a 4-year deal in free agency with the Jets, but spent just 2 seasons in New York before being released. He then played 2 full seasons with both the Texans and Raiders. In 2019, he made short stints with both the Lions and Jaguars. Gilchrist has 14 interceptions and almost 500 tackles in his career. The Houston Texans took Brandon Harris from Miami with the 60th pick. Harris declared for the draft after 3 years at Miami, foregoing his senior season. His scouting report said, Harris is a true gamer that is at his best when the lights are on, and he has the tools to become a starting cornerback at the next level. Harris played a limited role for the Texans over a 3-year span and was released. He played with the Titans in 2015 and had a brief offseason spot with the Dolphins in 2016. Harris signed with the Toronto Argonauts of the Canadian Football League for 2017. He played a role on a team that went on to win the Grey Cup on the year and is still with him. He played in 42 games in his time in the league. 80th overall in the 3rd round, the San Francisco 49ers drafted Chris Culliver from South Carolina. Coming out of South Carolina, his scouting report claimed Culliver has the pure cover skills to eventually develop into a starter, but does not display natural instincts and is not willing or productive in run support. Culliver played in every game as a rookie before becoming the team's starting nickelback in 2012. On the remarkable season for the 49ers, he made a key interception in the NFC Championship to help defeat the Falcons. He then stirred up plenty of negative press in the weeks following. During the Super Bowl 47 media day, he had negative remarks towards gay people and followed it up with poor play on the field in the game, resulting in a loss to the Ravens. Things continued to get rocky for Culliver as he suffered a torn ACL and missed the 2013 season. He returned for the 2014 season and started in 14 games for the 49ers. He was arrested the following season for a hit and run, driving on a suspended license, and felony possession of brass knuckles after hitting a bicyclist in his car. He was with the Redskins in 2015 where he faced a suspension and soon after tore his ACL and MCL. The injury bug continued to stick with him for the years following as he landed on the physically unable to perform list for the Dolphins and injured reserve for the Colts. He had over 100 tackles in his career. Miami's DeMarcus Van Dyke was taken with the 81st pick by the Oakland Raiders. Van Dyke was a two-sport athlete at Miami, playing football and participating in track and field. His scouting report said, Van Dyke is a developmental sub-package defensive back prospect due to his track speed and height. Van Dyke was used sparingly as a rookie and was let go the following season. He then signed with the Steelers where he spent 2 years playing very little. He has since made brief stops with the Chiefs, Vikings, and Falcons, but didn't play a game for any of them. Van Dyke played in 25 games in his career. Johnny Patrick from Louisville was chosen with the 88th pick by the New Orleans Saints. Patrick was a starter for Louisville for 3 of his 4 years. Heading into the draft, his scouting report stated, Patrick is a productive collegiate cornerback that has a chance to develop into a starter at the next level. Patrick played for the Saints for 2 years before being cut. He signed with the Chargers soon after and played a season in San Diego before being released. He has since made brief offseason stops with the Jets and the Winnipeg Blue Bombers of the CFL. He had over 50 tackles in his short career. With the 89th pick, the San Diego Chargers selected Sharice Wright from USC. Wright only played 1 season as a full-time starter for USC, his senior year when he served as a team captain. Wright's scouting report voiced some concerns, saying his off-the-field issues coupled with a serious neck injury in 2008 may scare off a few teams. But Wright is a talented corner and has a chance to be a mid to late round draft pick. Fact is, Wright has not been a bad pick for a third rounder. He spent 4 years in San Diego, starting for 2 of them. He signed with the 49ers after this season, but was released after requesting for his release. He signed with the Ravens where he spent 2 seasons. He spent the next 2 seasons with the Bills and Titans with a short offseason stint with the Raiders in between. Wright made over 300 tackles in his career. The Philadelphia Eagles took Curtis Marsh from Utah State with the 90th pick. Marsh was a running back at Utah State until he made the switch to cornerback before his junior season. According to his scouting report, Marsh is a limited prospect due to his tight hips, but he is fast and long and could be a mid to late round pick. Marsh played a limited role with the Eagles for 2 years before he was let go. He then played for the Bengals for 2 games in 2013, but was released. He signed back with the Eagles where he played twice more on the year. He most recently spent time with the Broncos before being waived. He played in 26 games in his career. 95th overall, the Pittsburgh Steelers drafted Curtis Brown from Texas. Brown was a 5-star recruit coming out of high school and committed to Texas, where he made over 100 tackles in his collegiate career. Scouts said Brown has great foot speed and enough size to develop into a quality starting cornerback at the next level. But Brown never started a game throughout his pro career. He tore his ACL in his 3rd season in Pittsburgh and was released soon after. He had an offseason stint with the Jets in 2015 and joined the Saskatchewan Roughriders of the CFL in 2016. Brown played in 34 games in the pros. West Virginia's Brandon Hogan was taken with the 98th pick in the 4th round by the Carolina Panthers. Hogan started off his career at West Virginia, playing wide receiver before making the switch over to cornerback. He spent 3 years at the position before he was suspended indefinitely from the team following a drunk driving arrest. Scouts said that overall, Hogan is a mid-round talent, but he may slip due to some character concerns. He played in the only 3 games of his career as a rookie with the Panthers. He suffered a knee injury that put him on the physically unable to perform list. He was later cut. He was most recently signed by the Winnipeg Blue Bombers of the CFL in 2014. Denoris Searcy from North Carolina was chosen with the 100th pick by the Buffalo Bills. Searcy served a major role on special teams for North Carolina over his 4 seasons. Scouts said that Searcy can contribute as a punt returner and may sneak into the later rounds. He has resulted to be a great value pick in the draft, making his worth in the league at the safety position. He played in all but 5 games in his first 7 years in the league, contributing as a role player and starting for the Bills and later the Titans. Searcy played in 2 games games in 2018 for the Panthers, but was put on injured reserve due to a concussion and later released. He made over 300 tackles in his career. With the 113th pick, the Oakland Raiders selected Chimdi Chekwa from Ohio State. Chekwa was a 4-year starter at Ohio State before making the jump to the pros. Scouts said Chekwa lacks the measurables to line up against the #1 receiver in the NFL, but he has the skills to develop into an effective corner in sub packages. Chekwa spent 4 seasons with the Raiders after being drafted, where he started a total of 4 games. He then signed with the Patriots before being released and rejoining the Raiders. He later signed with the Dolphins in 2016 and played in 3 games before being released. He played in 35 games in total. The Kansas City Chiefs took Jalil Brown from Colorado with the 118th pick. Brown attended the 2011 Senior Bowl following his time at Colorado. Scouts said that Brown has enough physical measurables, good intangibles, and short-term memory needed for the league. He spent time in the league until 2015, being released and re-signed multiple times. After 2 seasons with the Chiefs, he had 3 stints with the Colts and 2 stints with the Dolphins. He had over 50 tackles in his career. He started coaching in 2017 as the strength and conditioning coach for Boise State. He then moved on to become the cornerbacks coach at Northern Arizona and is now coaching the same position at Boise State. 127th overall, the Houston Texans drafted Rock Carmichael from Virginia Tech. Carmichael made over 100 tackles in his time at Virginia Tech, helping win 2 ACC championships along the way. According to scouts, Carmichael has plenty of speed, which is the most important commodity in the NFL. He spent 2 years with the Texans before being signed, released, and signed again by the Eagles. He had a short stint with the Cardinals during his final year in the league. He most recently spent time with the Winnipeg Blue Bombers of the CFL. He had 25 tackles in his pro career. The Citadel's Cortez Allen was taken with the 128th pick by the Pittsburgh Steelers. Cortez was named second team All-Southern Conference in his final 2 seasons at the Citadel. Draft analyst Mel Kiper considered Allen to be a sleeper in the draft. Scouts added, Allen is blessed with the physical tools to eventually become a backup corner for a press-heavy team, but is a raw prospect, lacking the natural coverage instincts to develop into a starter. He went on to be a value pick, spending 5 seasons in Pittsburgh. He was injured in the 2015 season and spent the rest of the season on injured reserve before being released. He had over 150 tackles in his career. Devon House from New Mexico State was chosen with the 131st pick by the Green Bay Packers. House was a standout at New Mexico State, where he was named first team All-WAC twice and had a school's 6th most 11 career interceptions. Scouts said House is a physical corner that excels in press coverage and could develop into a starter in a cover 2 scheme. House went on to have a long, successful career as a backup, mainly in Green Bay. He spent 4 seasons with the Packers. Later, he signed with the Jaguars in 2015 after being offered more money than the Packers. He was released after 2 seasons in Jacksonville and immediately signed back with the Packers. He most recently played in 3 games in 2018 before finishing the season on injured reserve. House had over 200 tackles in his career. With the 137th pick in the 5th round, the Cleveland Browns selected Buster Skrine from Chattanooga. Skrine made a name for himself in college using his speed. Coming into the draft, scouts said Skrine comes from an FCS school and is undersized, but he can flat out run. Skrine has gone on to have a successful career and is one of the few drafted before Sherman that are still in the league. He has started every year in the league since his rookie season. He spent 4 years with the Browns before signing a deal with the Jets to spend 4 years in New York. Skrine then signed a 3-year deal with the Bears before 2019 and currently resides in Chicago. He has over 500 tackles currently. The Minnesota Vikings took Brandon Burton from Utah with the 139th pick. Burton could become a great starting corner for a team with a press-heavy scheme, according to scouts. He spent 2 years in Minnesota before being released. He then played with both the Bills and Bengals in 2013 and made an offseason appearance with the Colts in 2014. He played in 23 games in the pros. He most recently was the defensive backs coach for the Arizona Hotshots of the Alliance of American Football. 143rd overall, the Dallas Cowboys drafted Josh Thomas from Buffalo. Thomas was Buffalo's top cornerback as a senior and helped it win a MAC championship 2 years earlier. Coming into the draft, scouts claimed Thomas has the upside to potentially turn into a starting corner with some improved awareness and overall refinement to his game. Thomas didn't make the Cowboys roster, but was claimed by the Panthers. He spent 3 seasons in Carolina and played a role on special teams. He then bounced around for the remainder of his career. He spent time with the Seahawks, Jets, and Lions in 2014, and the following season spent time with the Vikings, Colts, and Cowboys. He ended his career being cut in Dallas, where it all started. He had over 50 tackles in the pros. Middle Tennessee's Rod Isaac was taken with the 147th pick by the Jacksonville Jaguars. Isaac was a senior captain and made first team All-Sun Belt in 2010 at Middle Tennessee. After his rookie season with the Jaguars, Isaac was released and never played with another NFL team. He signed with the Tampa Bay Storm of the Arena Football League and then played with the Orlando Predators. He played in 3 games in the league. And of course, with the 145th pick in the 5th round of the 2011 NFL Draft, the Seattle Seahawks selected Richard Sherman. Looking back, it's clear to say at the very least, there were 23 poor decisions made at the 2011 NFL Draft. Richard Sherman is a 5-time All-Pro and has been named to the Pro Bowl 5 times. There is no doubt he is superior to almost everyone on this list. Sherman has been a stud, but his story isn't over. This has been Who Were the 24 Cornerbacks Drafted Before? Richard Sherman.